And while there were, in fact, some issues, we're recording.
You're a podcast, right?
Yes.
All right.
Well, it's kind of interesting because a lot of people that eat here, even after they've eaten here for a long time, will kind of look around and say, "Are the books for sale?" And we just kind of go, "Oh, yes, they are." When we first moved in, there were a lot of problems here, and everyone, talks about the drugs and the prostitution and that sort of thing. And that, in fact, did go on. As a matter of fact, it went on just outside the building here. There was just a whole lot of, there was also a lot of negativity about Easton, a tremendous amount of negativity. People, when you told them Easton, they would say, they would recoil and they would say, "I don't go there. I don't go to downtown Easton. It's dangerous."
When was your business founded and what inspired its creation?
Oh gosh. So we had been in Easton for about 10 years. We renovated a 4-unit building on 2nd Street, and my husband was working a job in Somerville, New Jersey, and the bookstore had been an ongoing concern for about 15 years, and they put it up for sale. It was 1994, and we thought maybe he should leave his corporate job and we should choose a lifestyle that we might like better.
So in 1994, you decided to buy the bookstore.
We did. We bought it July 1st, 1994.
And then how did it become Quadrant?
Well, it was already called the Quadrant. The original owner had been a cable car driver out in San Francisco, and the Quadrant's the mechanism you use to control the cable car. So he had named it that, and it already had quite a good reputation as a bookstore. So we, bought the name and the trademark as well. So it remained the Quadrant when we took it over. What it lacked was the coffee house component. So we added a coffee house. Was just going to be coffee, pastries, maybe quiche, very, very, very simple. But over time, we learned that people were very willing to eat here. So the menu grew and grew and grew. So we kind of have become what's no longer a coffee house, really is a cafe. Yeah.
It's awesome. So how would you say your business has evolved over the years?
Well, the bookstore has remained fairly steady. My husband curates an amazing set of books, for people to browse here. So, I would say that the quality of the books has simply gone up over the years. The biggest transition, I guess, has been the growth of the coffee house. And that's what brings a lot more people in. It's kind of interesting because a lot of people that eat here, even after they've eaten here for a long time, will kind of look around and say, "Are the books for sale?" And we just kind of go, "Oh, yes, they are."
That's awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced and overcome?
Oh gosh. Well, Easton did not used to be as popular a place as it is now. When we first moved in, there were a lot of problems here. And everyone, talks about the drugs and the prostitution and that sort of thing. And that, in fact, did go on. As a matter of fact, it went on just outside the building here. And we worked with the police and kind of learned how to move that on, So there was a lot of challenge just facing down things that as a, suburban St. Louis kid, I really never saw before. So there was just a whole lot of, there was also a lot of negativity about Easton, a tremendous amount of negativity. People, when you told them Easton, they would say, they would recoil and they would say, "I don't go there. I don't go to downtown Easton. It's dangerous." And while there were, in fact, some issues, we're recording.
You're a podcast, right?
Yes.
All right.
Well, sort of. Yeah. So while those difficulties were in fact here and had to be dealt with, they were not as dire as people made them out to be. I mean, we moved in with our children and raised them here. And I never really felt particularly unsafe. You don't go out at 2 a.m. and walk in the alleys, and that's kind of true of almost anywhere. But so there was a lot of negativity about Easton, and there was a lot of buildings that needed to be renovated still. It was not as cute as it is now. There was a lot of urban blight going on, and there was still, sort of the Perkins movie theater kind of oddly placed suburban stuff that was the biggest draw. So I think just reclaiming Easton as kind of the jewel of the Lehigh Valley, this the little sister, spot that's so great. It took a lot of work to bring that back.
Well, I guess that ties into my next question. How has the community changed since you first opened?
Well, I think more than changing, it's simply grown. There was this amazing grassroots movement. When we got here, the folks that had stopped the urban removal had kind of done their work and, kind of moved on. Then there was a lot of us that were investing, one or two properties at a time. There was a lot of sweat equity. And we all kind of bonded together. City Hall was very receptive at the time. I was there the day they uncovered the cornerstone at the old tavern, which had been stuccoed over and really kind of abused for years. So we kind of saw just a lot of the regaining of the things that were really special, and seeing the buildings come around and supporting each other as businesses were opened. And there was just this camaraderie and this support that was, it's really hard to explain how amazing it was. And I say that it's continued to grow because I think that still exists here on a very, very strong level. When the new shops come in, I think everybody makes a point to try to meet them and go to their shops. There's the monthly meetings where everyone can get together and know each other. The Main Street and the EBA kind of keep everyone connected. So, unless you really don't want to stay connected, there's a lot of opportunity to have people know who you are and share experiences and send you customers.
Um, what would you say your role has played in shaping the local area?
Well, I guess just like, anyone else who's stayed in business, I've tried very hard to run a solid business that's welcoming, that people want to come back to. Um, I did start the Garlic Fest. Well, I took over the Garlic Fest. It started as a farmers market event for I think about 2 years, and then I took that over, and I think I was instrumental in creating an event that made people want to come to Easton. And that was my entire motivation for starting the Garlic Fest, was to have a really fun event that a lot of people came to and they found out they didn't get shot and it would be okay to come back. Because people really did think they were going to get shot if they came to
Oh,
Easton. It was crazy. So I think just that we did the solid work of opening and staying open and being consistent and supporting the other shops. I think that we just helped create an atmosphere that attracted more people to come do the same thing.
have you built relationships with multiple generations of customers?
Oh, absolutely. So when we first opened, the coffee house opened about a year after we took over the bookstore. And everybody said, "Oh, it's going to be so great. There'll be a place where there's no smoking and no alcohol and people can go get dessert and talk." And that didn't happen. The, Easton likes its bars. So what happened was teenagers found us. Hundreds of teenagers found us, and we were open on Friday and Saturday nights till 11:30. And this room that we're sitting in now was the coffee house at the time. And they would come and they were playing acoustic guitar upstairs and they were playing chess in this room and they were kicking soccer in the alley and they were just hanging out, and they were so interesting and fresh and fun. I really like teenagers. I know most people don't say that. I think teenagers are just incredible people. So there were all these kids that came here, and they now come in with their kids. So I think that's probably the biggest generational thing. But there has been a lot of people that we knew, or we knew their parents, and they grew up, and now they still come in. It's a lot of fun.
It's wonderful. Well, you kind of touched on this earlier, but are there any community events or traditions your business has been a part of?
Well, we've participated in a lot of things. I ran the Scarecrow Festival for a while. I worked on the Riverside Festival of the Arts. We've often been a vendor at Heritage Day. So we just try to support whatever someone's doing, because if you don't step up and support it, then it's no fun to go to. So we've just tried to be good neighbors and active.
What core values have helped your business stay strong over the years?
Hmm. Well, I'd like to think the fact that we're very accepting. We're a bookstore. We don't censor. We don't censor thought. We don't censor people. We feel that anybody who, uh, you know, gives us the honor of being the customers to walk through our door, we have the privilege of serving them, deserves to be respected. So I think we just try to be the kind of people that, you'd like to run into if you went out.
Have you maintained any original traditions or practices since the business started?
Wow, that's a lot to remember. Uh, um, just greeting people and smiling when they come through the door. I really don't, there's not a lot. We feed people and we give them books. We feed their minds, bodies, and souls, and have just tried to be friendly while we do it.
What do you think makes your business unique compared to newer competitors?
Well, I think, as far as the restaurant side, the fact that we're in a used bookstore is a pretty unique niche, and a lot of people call us, that restaurant in the bookstore. So that's probably
It's like speakeasy
it.
vibes.
It is a little bit, a little bit. And, as far as the bookstore goes, there's just two of us in town. So I don't think we have an edge over each other. Andy down at Book and Puppet
Yeah.
is, a little bit different. What's kind of amusing is that my husband, Andy, who runs a used bookstore, is a Latvian, as is Andy, who runs a
Oh,
used bookstore
wow.
down the street. So we often laugh and say if somebody else wants to open a bookstore, they better be named Andy. They better be Latvian. So,
How would you say technology has changed the way you operate, if
oh
it
well,
has at all?
oh sure it has. On the bookstore certainly. Putting books out online, which my husband does. He puts the rare collectible books online, so that's made it much easier to do and track and make sales globally. And as far as the restaurant goes, you know the kind of hardware or software that you can use now to turn orders in and track everything you do makes business easier. It's kind of the basic stuff that everyone.
Yeah. Um, what's something you do differently today than when you started?
Well, I personally work less hours. We're more successful now, and I can hire more staff. So that's great. I mean, in the beginning, we were pulling 70-hour weeks. Just if you can't afford staff, you can't afford staff. I think we also. I think we've learned to kind of target the things we do best. The menu has the things we know sell best. The festival, we've kind of honed it to the things that work best. In the beginning, you kind of just do almost anything someone will give you money for. Well, that sounds bad, doesn't it? But I think after a while, you kind of target the things that are going to be the most effective for you, and then and moving forward as my son takes over. Once our expansion and renovations are done, he's going to have a whole new set of things he can look at in his journey to see where the quadrant goes.
Yeah, next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, talking about your generation of customers, now you're on to next generation for you.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
It's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Yes, I have an 8-year-old granddaughter who kind of walks through the place with some ownership vibes herself. She's quite comfortable here. I'm sure she feels that this is her future. Who knows? Who
That's
knows?
awesome, though.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of your fondest memories of running this business?
It all involves people. It just all involves the kind of people that have come through the door. We moved 1,000 miles away from our family. We're both from Missouri. And what we discovered is, you get a family anyway. You find people that are the grandparents to your kids. You find the weird uncle that you thought you'd never have to have. When you pick your own family, you think you'd leave out some of the questionable people. You don't. You get, you get the whole range. And we have We have just met so many people who have become friends. A lot of my suppliers have been with us from the beginning. We watched each other's children grow up. Gosh, I'll get all emotional. It's the people, it's the relationships, it's the people in town that helped me along, and now I see these younger folks opening shops, Andrea at Casa 401 and Andy down at Sweet Girls, and just all these shops that are have all this young vitality, and I love interacting with them as much as I love being mentored by the shops that had been around a long time when I was here, starting.
It's amazing. Well, I guess this plays into my next question. What advice would you give to new business owners in the community?
Well, I think you have to look long and hard at what it is you want to do. Not just the fun side, not the exciting side where you pick your name and you make your logo and you choose your colors and you find your product and all of those things. What you have to look at is how your life is going to be. Because when you open a small shop, you become its primary employee, and you have to be prepared to be there all the time. You can't, oh gosh, no one comes in after 4 o'clock, so I'm just going to run some errands. You can't do that. You have to commit, and you have to be prepared to perhaps sit by yourself more hours than you want while you're waiting for people to find you. I mean, certainly everyone knows to be proactive about social media and advertising and doing what you can. But until you're really up and running, you have to know that it's going to be perhaps very difficult, and you have to want it bad enough that you're willing to put that time in.
Wow. Um, where do you see the future of your business in the next 10 to 20 years?
Oh my gosh. I think with the expansion of the kitchen and the addition of the outside courtyard, that we'll kind of be adding the venue aspect. People will be able to come here and have small parties, small weddings. So I see us kind of, fitting into that next tier of the industry. I think the bookstore will just kind of remain that on the wall in the background, sort of thing. But my son is really a chef by trade, and culinary is his passion. So, I see the restaurant rebranding as a cafe and moving forward.
Expanding a little more.
Oh, a lot more. Yeah, yeah. With the outside and the kitchen being able to serve more people.
You guys really do have a great location here.
We
It's
do.
it's a little, it's tucked away back here, and I mean, even though you're like center of downtown, it still seems so quiet and so like garden like back there.
It's very peaceful, and we're putting up a little bit bigger fence, so maybe a little less visual on the trash cans across the alley. Which it's a city. Your trash cans have to be somewhere, but I would prefer they weren't in lines eye
Right
for
there.
eyesight from everyone who's eating. But it is kind of, it feels a little bit like a secret. It's kind of nice.
Yes. For my final question, is there anything the community can do to support long-standing businesses like yours?
Well, I think there's a twofold answer to that, because as a longstanding business, it's my responsibility to stay relevant. So if I sit back and rest on my laurels, if I don't go to the meetings, if I don't meet the new shops, if I don't make sure people know who I am, why would they bother to support me? But I also think it's important, new businesses opening is exciting, and you want to go to them and you want to see them, but you have to remember to keep the folks that were here while it was all being put together in your rotation. Because there's a lot of businesses here that we just discussed, Antonio's and Angelo's and Pearly Bakers and places like that stuck it out through some really tough
Mhm.
years and created a city that these new shops wanted to open a business in. So it's kind of nice, to just make sure you keep them in the mix.
Oh yeah, which is why we're also doing this to honor the pioneers of modern Easton, because like you said, we have so many people in town that they don't know what Easton used to be. They don't know all the hard work and dedication that people like you put into
Yeah, if you don't have
Easton
to
and
move a
events
yeah, if you don't
and
have to move a single hooker to open your doors, then you just don't know what fun is. But and I appreciate this so very much. When when you reached out and said that you want to interview me, I was really honored.
No, yeah, I think we need to let people know all the hard work that has been put into Easton, and dedication and long hours of organizing festivals and just manning festivals. And festivals didn't used to be what they are today. Like you said, Garlic Fest started out from the farmers market,
Hmm.
just like Bacon Fest did. Now these are two events that bring so many people to
Hmm.
town now.
Yeah,
And
and when they started, I started Garlic Fest, and everybody at the farmers market helped me, and then they just kind of put bacon into the footprint that we had created, and it took off, and we were in and out of each other's businesses all the time, like even during a festival. Do you have, I need, I mean, we all knew each other, and we were all there for each other, and we just, ran around and did whatever it took to create something that was going to be, really appealing to the public to get them to keep coming. And that was a lot of fun. It was just really, it was a lot of fun to be part of that energy.
well, and you've done it. So, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.